6 ways Russia has adapted to the war in Ukraine. The Russian military has performed poorly, but that doesn't mean it has been defeated. The Russians have learned to adapt. It's getting harder for the Ukrainians to fight them. Here are the main reasons. 1. Russian defenses are stronger than ever. Last year, Ukrainian forces swept through Russian lines in Kharkiv Oblast. This taught the Russians valuable lessons about defense. They've been building fortifications ever since. The biggest problem for Ukraine is minefields. The Russians lay extensive minefields everywhere. It takes a lot of time to clear them. Once the Ukrainians start demining, the Russians target them with artillery. Sometimes they send in attack helicopters. This makes any forward progress painstakingly slow. Even a cleared minefield doesn't always stay cleared. The Russians use artillery-launched mines. They can quickly sow the land with landmines at range. 2. Russian pilots are avoiding Ukrainian air defenses. In the early months of the war, Russia lost dozens of planes. But these days, Russian aircraft operate from behind the front lines. They launch missiles from Russia or from the occupied territories. They're increasingly relying on guided bombs too. Adding guidance capabilities to older bombs extends their range. These airstrikes are rarely accurate, but a half-ton air-launched bomb doesn't need much accuracy. Russia simply saturates Ukrainian positions with these bombs. Even if only 1 in 5 hits something, the damage is enormous. Ukraine is struggling to detect and shoot them down with their Soviet-era aircraft. 3. Russia has moved its logistics farther back. There are no more command posts near the front lines. Many ammunition depots have been relocated too. Ukraine has been very effective in targeting them with HIMARS, but it has a max range of about 50 miles, usually less. After the Ukrainians began to use extended-range JDAMs, the Russians moved again. Of course, this stretches Russian supply lines, but they still have plenty of space to fall back. Ukraine's long-range strike capabilities are very limited. It has to be very sparing in using its missiles. The US has so far refused to deliver longer-range ATACMS. 4. Russian soldiers have learned to dig in. Early in the war, they moved in unprotected armored columns. Now they've built extensive, highly fortified trench systems. They hide their tanks and APCs in tree lines and under camouflage netting. They conduct sorties to fire on Ukrainian positions before swiftly retreating. These hit-and-run tactics were used by Ukrainian defenders last year. Now it's the Ukrainians who must counter them. 5. Russia is using more and more drones. Lancet explosive drones were rare last year. Now Russia is deploying them by the hundred. Drones rigged with explosives smash into Ukrainian armored vehicles. They regularly target medevac vans and infantry. Ukrainian troops report a marked increase in Russia's drone use. Last year, they say, there were just solitary or lawn reconnaissance UAVs. Now whole swarms are active overhead. The Russians are also using jammers. These bring down dozens of Ukrainian UAVs every day. The Russians have procured thousands of Chinese-made cheap drones. 6. Russia's war machine is adapting at home as well. It has sustained and even increased defense production of some items. The sanctions proved to have plenty of loopholes. Western officials thought Russia could produce about 100 tanks a year. The actual tank production is closer to 200 a year now. Western experts said Russia could produce 1 million artillery shells a year, but Russia is on its way toward doubling that estimate. Russia has also boosted military spending. The embattled Ukrainian economy can't compete, but the embattled Ukrainians have no other choice.